IVM.
TFG Interviews is an IVM production, and you can also check out their other awesome shows like The Seen and the Unseen, hosted by Amit Verma, where he discusses topics related to economic policies and its impact on our society.
You're listening to TFG Interviews.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of TFG Interviews. This is a special series where we get you interviews, chats with famous personalities in the world of sports, and also somebody who's done great in sports and not just being an athlete. So today I am in conversation with Arjan Singh Bhullar. He's an Indian origin fighter from Canada who is the first Indian origin guy to enter the UFC scene. And, his journey is quite interesting. He was not into UFC or MMA. So he began as a wrestler. And in the Commonwealth Games in 2010, he has been a gold medalist in wrestling. And from that, he's moved on to, he found interest in mixed martial arts. And slowly his career moved towards getting into full-time in MMA. And finally, he enters the scene of UFC. So he's undefeated as of now. 7 out of 7 wins is what his career stats say. And he was in India, and we got a chance to catch up with him. So let's head into the conversation and listen to Arjan Singh.
All right. So a great wrestling career, and you got a lot of fame with that. And what was it that attracted you to MMA?
To MMA, when I was still wrestling, the sport was really growing and blowing up in North America and even around the world. Currently, it's the fastest growing sport in the world. And many people I wrestled against or trained with were already in the UFC, and some were champions. So they're doing really good in the sport. So I just started watching them because I knew them, and I was a fan of the sport. It was exciting to watch. And then the more I watched it, the more I was like, I want to do this. And then, so heading into the Olympics, I'd already made up my mind that after the Olympics, I'm going to jump into this sport.
So was it an easy choice to move from wrestling, so much at stake? Was it easy to move from something that you had established yourself in to something? For sure.
That's the first thing my family said. It was, you're already so successful in this. Why do you want to change tracks? And you're a smart guy. You don't need to do this punching stuff. We can get, into other businesses and stuff and all that. So that was the first thing. And then it was difficult because I didn't have my family's blessing at first, right? They didn't, because they care about me. They don't want to see me get hurt. Wrestling's a little bit different in that manner. But for me, I wrestled, and that was my family's story. And I did that. We did the Olympic dream, and then this was my story, and I wanted to do this for myself. And I felt, if family's family, end of the day, anything you do, they will eventually always support you because they care about you. So I started off in that direction, and that's been going ever since.
All right. So as a wrestler, what are the aspects that you found naturally coming to MMA, and what was the difficult part from the aspects of technically?
The biggest natural thing was, one, the training, which is both very difficult. Number 2, competition, still one-on-one in front of lots of people. Number 3, you can use your wrestling in this, right? And wrestling's the best base for this game. Why? Because all fights start standing. But if I'm punching and say he's beating me up, I can take him down, right? I control where the fight goes, right? So I'm able to use my wrestling skills. But in the UFC now, in MMA, you have to have extra skills as well.
Yeah, so that's exactly the point that I would want to ask you, is that the striking part,
yes.
That could have been, a game changer.
Yes.
Was it an easy step for you to just, lunge into it?
No, it was tough because you're used to being the best because I wrestled for so long, and now here I am, a rookie again. And, I'm getting beat up and I'm learning. But at the same time, it was exciting to learn something new. And I liked it, so I stuck with it and I just kept training.
So you're the first Indian origin MMA fighter to enter the scene, and how does that feeling come to you?
Very prideful. It's anytime you can make history is special. When you're done, and you look back as an athlete, you always want to look at some of your resume and leave some history for your next generation and all that stuff. That means a lot to me. But my goal is always to be the best. And then the fact that I'm the first Indian to do certain things, that's a bonus.
Yeah. Also, so your journey coming into MMA, 7 wins on the trot, and what can we expect from your next fight?
Much of the same. We will continue winning. We will continue to climb the ladder. The last fight we had, the guy was highly ranked and been in there with some big names. He's experienced, but we were able to comfortably beat him. But I'm excited for the next go around, which will be probably in the new year, January, February, and we'll go from there.
So on that note, what brings you to India? How is your plan to come to India, coinciding with UFC coming to India?
Yeah, so from the head of the UFC, the new owner, Ari Emanuel, he had a meeting about a month ago with all his executives and told them the priority new market we want to go into is India. And they've been trying to come out here for a while. The fact that they have a fighter now who's not only in but been successful and has potential to be the champ and will be the champ.
And so the Indian connect as well.
Yes, so if you want to go into a market, you need someone that can connect with that market. And my story is very Indian. My lineage, the wrestling, my roots, I come here every year. I've done a lot of work here in Northern India over the years. And so there's that story's already naturally built. There's a documentary coming out called 1 Billion Strong on my whole journey. And we'll be trying to secure that with Netflix so people will understand the full story heading into the UFC. So we're doing a lot of different projects to connect with the people and show the UFC India is ready. We're ready for this. I think we truly are. We've got a huge wrestling history here. Pro wrestling here is huge popularity. This is very similar. You have free distribution of content on Sony ESPN for all the fans, so they're able to see the fighters and understand and connect. All those things are a good recipe to bring the UFC here. Yeah. And I believe so in the next 18 months.
Great. And just the point about wrestling, you had a great bonding with your friend
Maharaja.
Yeah.
Yes.
So would you explain something more about your friendship?
We've known each other for over 10 years. I was in university studying and wrestling, and Jinder was still trying to make it in the pro wrestling, and he kind of saw me. He knew me from what I was doing in the wrestling world at that time, and we just connected. We saw each other and stayed in touch ever since. And he's a great guy. He's a Canadian, great representative of our people and great representative of the WWE.
Yeah. Also, there's a handful of Indian fans who not very they don't go along with you being tagged as an Indian fighter. Obviously, you have an Indian origin. So, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are this: my roots come from India. I've represented the country of Canada for many, many years. I'm born and raised there, proud Canadian. If you know my motivation, as you can tell by speaking to me, I'm not a stereotypical fighter. I have other motivations. What I want to do is create the biggest platform and then do good for people, make an impact on people, and live and do things that I'm passionate about for beyond sport. And for me, I've already reached that audience in Canada. I've represented Canada for many years. If I can make a change and a difference in Indians in India, why wouldn't I want to represent that and connect with those people? For me to represent that flag, it would be easier for someone to connect with me from here. They would be like, hey, he looks like me, he talks like me, he eats like me, comes from a family like culture that I have. That can do that for somebody out here. I've already done that for Canadians. And to be honest, Canadians have a huge opportunity. Anywhere you go in Canada, you can be successful. India is tough. Maybe you have to help them a little more, inspire them a little more. So I really want to spend the last few years of my athletic career connecting with those people.
Yeah. Also on the note of the Indian topics, do you watch Indian MMA by any chance? Do you have any favorites?
I don't have favorites. I have watched it. SFL first, Brave now. It's still developing as a sport, so it's tough to follow guys and get too really excited. And that also goes with the promotions, right? Like SFL is no longer around. You need a solid pipeline of talent, and it comes from, in this country, it's got to come from the boxing and wrestling. That's where it has to come from. You have great talent there, and then it has to be, the promotions have to know what they're doing, right? So I'm aware of it. UFC's opening 100 UFC gyms here in the country over the next 10 years. They've already signed that agreement. So I think everything's perfect timing right now to take it to the next level. That's what I'm excited to be a part of.
Personally, what will your advice be for someone who's aiming to be like you?
Aiming to be like me? First of all, get in the sport of wrestling and wrestle.
So you believe the ideal path is get into wrestling and then...
100%. You need a good base. You have to be You have to have that good. And wrestling's always proven to be the best base. If you look at all the champions, majority wrestling background. And you have that here. You have a long history of wrestling here. So why wouldn't you? That's what the American system is. They all come from wrestling, and you can do the same thing out here. It's very easy.
Yeah. Your final thoughts, your final message to your Indian fans. You know, you're talking about Connect. You're talking about someone.
Yes. Indian fans, support your guy. I'm here for you guys. I've been coming here my entire life. Every year, my father wrestled out here. I used to follow him as a kid. Those are my earliest memories of India. And then I came out here, and I've been wrestling since. We have our own gym we built and donated up in northern India, which is free of use to kids. That was after the Commonwealth Games, as a give back to the country. I'm coming again next month in Chandigarh. I have a university. I'm a coach at university for wrestling in Canada. I'm bringing all the wrestlers here. We're gonna compete with some university kids out here for an exchange. So all this stuff, and I'd love to connect with you guys so people know. I've been doing this every year. So now that we can, tell these my fans out here some of the stuff I've been doing, I think it'll really make a difference. At the end of the day, it's an Indian story. The way we live back home, we have over 20 people in one house. Many families, everyone lives together. I eat Indian food every night from my mother cooks it. I live Indian, man. It's who I am and what I am. I'm very prideful of that. We are going to show the world what Indians are about and bring that to the mainstream now.
That's one last question. Do you miss wrestling?
Do I miss wrestling? I do. It's still, it's my love, my first love. I still train it, so that helps. I'm still coaching it, so that helps. But you do always, part of you misses it, yeah.
All right, you heard him, Arjan Singh. He's a great person to talk to. I had a great time. And also he shared his plans about the UFC coming to India and his personal plans. He loves to be in India. That's what he says, as you heard him. So if you're listening to us on YouTube, do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can also download the IVM Podcast app, which is available on Android and iOS for many such shows. The interview is also available on major podcasting apps like SoundCloud, iTunes, etc. Do let us know via comments what do you think about his talk. And we will catch you guys in another episode of the TFG interviews. Have a great time. Take care. Bye.
एक्सक्यूज मी भैया, एक्सक्यूज मी.
बोलिए मैडम.
मेन्यू में क्या है?
मेन्यू में सीन अनसीन है, पॉडकास्ट है, ऑन कोर्स है, साइरस है, मेड इन इंडिया, रीडिस्कवरी प्रोजेक्ट, एम्पावरिंग सीरीज, सेक्स वेक्स है, आईवीएम लाइक्स है, सिंप्लीफाइड है, कीपिंग इट क्वियर है, थिंग्स एंड डेस्टिनेशंस है, माय नेबर जकरबर्ग है और द फैन गराज है. आपको क्या चाहिए?
एक बार रिपीट कर देंगे क्या?
रिपीट नहीं करता हम. आप जाओ ivmpodcast.com पे और सुनो ये सब, या फिर डाउनलोड करो उनका ऐप. सब आपकी उंगलियों पे.